you set for yourself from this Drive reunion is not going to be whether somebody books parties, whether your team members work. Your greatest challenge to achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve in your business is that you allow yourself to overestimate the challenge and underestimate yourself. And so often, especially as women, and I want to do a shout out to the men Sensi consultants who are men in this audience. In fact, can we hear it from you? Because it is so exciting. Whether you are here as an independent consultant or director, or whether you're here as the bodyguard support crew to your partner, you are so much part of this business. And in many ways, I envy the focus that you have. But for the women in the audience, we have to overcome that tendency, that little voice in our head that somehow says, not me. I could never be a superstar director. I could never be one of those amazing people who get up on stage, whose names are lined up because, I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I'm too busy. Hey, I have 5 children. I have a full-time job. I'm looking after my parents. My husband isn't well, whatever it is. And what happens when we do that is we give ourselves this little label which has a sign on it, I'm giving myself permission to fail. I'm going to give myself permission because I'm too scared at what might be out there if I start testing myself and the strength that I have inside me. We had a wonderful speaker yesterday, Brene. Wasn't she absolutely fantastic? And she talked about the very thing that I know I have talked to you, those of you who I've spoken with before, the very thing. And it's about one word, and it's about courage. And I can tell you, the most overrated asset is confidence. And yet so many people, so many of us use a lack of confidence or not enough confidence as our way of holding ourselves back in life and not giving ourselves the opportunity to discover what it is we actually have inside us. Many of you will know, but those of you who are new, I want to repeat this. I always felt that I'd held myself back. I deliberately held myself back because I felt that I didn't have confidence. Let me tell you, the first time I spoke in front of a party, my knees were shaking so much I was literally vibrating with fear. Who's had that experience of suddenly facing a group of people and instead of them being friends and neighbors and family, all of a sudden they turn into this really scary audience? The first time I spoke on stage, and I feel so much for those of you who've come backstage and you have stepped up and spoken. The first time I'm going to share this story with you because it is so humiliating. I stand on stage ready to speak, and there's this huge thumping noise going through the room, and the room was not nearly as big as this one. And everybody's trying to work out, the sound people, what's that thumping that's coming through the microphone? It was my heart beating so loud, and all I'm doing is, I wonder what that noise is. Somebody turn that noise out. Well, I'm trying to calm myself down. That's how nervous I was. But to add to what Brene said yesterday, it takes courage to test yourself, to discover what it really is that you have inside you. Confidence has nothing to do with it. Courage, not confidence. If you want to reach that destination that you dream about, and who would love to be at Leadership Conference in Cancun? Who would love to be at that conference? How many of you think that there is a chance tonight somebody is going to announce that there'll be another incentive trip in 2013, 2014? How many of you want so badly to be on that trip? It'll be courage. Because if you want to do it, this business is simple. You draw on the strengths you have. Now, I'm not somebody who believes that some people have more gifts given to them than others. I used to think that way. I used to think that somehow people were born special, that they were given special gifts, and that enabled them to be the really cool people or the successful people. But then I discovered everybody has gifts. Some of the most humbling experiences and moments in our lives allow us to discover inside a strength that we didn't know that we had. So you draw on the strengths or the gifts that you have, and you develop the strengths you don't have. And you do that by testing yourself constantly, putting yourself out on that line and doing it. And then one day you'll actually feel yourself cross that line and think, I can do this now. I recently helped my daughter teach her little 5-year-old to ride a bike. And I could see that she was nervous about it. It had turned into a little bit of a, I'm not going to, and I'm too scared. And I remember taking her out, one of the most amazing moments of my year this year. I just took her out and I said to her, you are going to fall off this bike. You know, you're going to fall, you're going to scrape your knees. These things are going to happen. But I tell you, the moment you actually start riding that bike and you feel